We have nothing to hide, like usual. Okay, I gotta go here. I got to unlight this, copy it, go back to this. Fuck the plugin. It don't work crap anyways. Okay, I'm gonna go here. I want to share. Share is paste. Add friends. Hell, I add everyone. I got a lot of people here. 31. Really? Acquaintances 5. Real 1. Hangouts. Everyone. It doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter. Okay. Share. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. They got the link in my new page. Doesn't really matter. But I got everyone. Okay. Sunday night. What's going on with you? What's going on with me? Well, I've been having a hard time with Google. That's my biggest thing. They won't let me go on my other channel. So I'm bringing my other channel over to here. Because, well, no, they are. They're not real. They're illusions, and they're playing it. They're playing the illusion card. So therefore, we're in an illusion. We're in the holographic universe. I mean, I have come across so much so quickly that I can't explain it all. But we're living in a holographic universe. And why I can't do a deja vu like in the Matrix. It's basically like the Matrix. We're basically caught in the Matrix. I got my cat going in a circle over a laser. So you should understand, if I can get my cat to go in a delusional laser and have a laser dance around her head, we're in a dimensional delusion. Okay? That's what we're basically in. I was amazed I was able to tap into my homepage on my Spellbinder and put a link up. And the link is an active link. If you go to my Spellbinder, if anyone's listening to this, probably they're already here. That's how the Matrix works. Where if you're not here already, then you don't know this, and you won't know it unless it's shared with you. Well, I shared privately with my group, acquaintances, and more, and I'm not getting anything on it. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to talk to you. I tried to hook up my earphones, and I'm having trouble with turning that on. I don't know why I can't turn my earphones on. But I got my volume turned down on the speakers to a point where it's no echo and no variability. This cat, all it cares about is laser. It doesn't care about the mice that may be running around that it should be chasing. It cares about the real orbs. So it's an orb seer. That's what I see it as. It's able to see orbs, able to see other dimensions. And that's kind of cool. Gotta keep an eye on my cat to know if there's, you know, the other dimension running around us. The holographic universe. There is a holographic universe. There's also the Montauk Project, and there's other things going on around us. It's just a matter of waking up to them and knowing that they exist. Well, in the holographic universe, there was a video done out today, well, 2015, I should say, where they actually covered the holographic universe without saying it, because apparently they're not aware of Michael Talbert's holographic universe, and they're just speaking right out of this book, and they never mentioned it or gave reference to it. I don't know if that was the meaning behind this. It was a Christian theologist who came out, and he was just basically talking, whereas heaven is a holograph. Heaven as a holograph. Now, near-death experienced people. Let me put some goggles on, and I will go with this. In addition to those mentioned by Ring and Bensuk, the NDAs have numerous other features that are remarkably holographic, like out-of-body experiencers after near-death experiencers have detached from the physical. They find themselves in one of two forms, either as disembodied cloud of energy, orbs, or as a hologrammic-like body sculptured by thought. Now that would be, apparitions. When the latter is the case, the mind creates a nature of a body that is often surprisingly obvious to the near-death experiencers. For example, one near-death survivor says that when he first emerged from his body, he looked somewhat like a jellyfish and fell lightly to the floor like a soap bubble. Then he quickly expanded into a ghostly three-dimensional image of a naked man. However, the pretense of the two women in the room embarrassed him, and to his surprise, this feeling caused him suddenly to become clothed. The women, however, never offered any indication that they were able to see any of this. That our innermost feelings and disguises are responsible for creating the form we assume in the afterlife dimension is evident in the experience of other near-death experiencers. People who were confined in wheelchairs in their physical existence find themselves in a healthy body that they can run and dance, and amputees and elderly have their limbs back. The elderly often inhabit youthful bodies, and often even stranger children frequently see themselves as adults, a fact that they may reflect every child's fantasy to be grown up, or more profoundly, may be symbolic indications that in our souls, some of us are much older than are realized. These hologram-like bodies can be remarkably detailed and anchored in this incident involving the man who became embarrassed at his own nakedness. For example, the clothing he materialized for himself was so meticulous. I gotta get that word. Some of these words are very meticulously wrought that he could even make out the seams in the material. Similarly, another man who studied his hands while in ND, near death, state said that they were composed of light with tiny structures in them. And when he looked closely, he could even see the delicate whorls of his fingerprints and tubes of light up his arms. Some of Witten's research is also relevant to this issue. Amazingly, when Witten hypnotized patients and regressed them to between life states, they too reported all the classic features of a near-death experience: passage through a tunnel, encounters with deceased relatives and or guides, entrance into a splendorous light-filled realm in which time and space no longer existed, encounters with luminous beings, and a life review. In fact, according to Witten's subjects, the main purpose of their life review was to refresh their memories so they could more mindfully plan their next life, a process in which the beings of light gently and incoherently assisted. Like Ring, after studying the testimony of his subject, Witten concluded that the shapes and structures one perceives in the afterlife dimensions are thought forms created by the mind. Rim Descartes' famous dictum, or the dictum, I think, therefore I am, is never more pertinent than in the between life state, says Witten. There is no exceptions of existence without thought. And that's what we're dealing with. This was especially true when it came to the form of Witten's patients assumed that in between life state. Several said they didn't even have a body unless they were thinking. One man described it by saying that if I stopped thinking, he was merely a cloud, and an endless cloud undefinited, he observed, but soon as he started to think, he became himself, a state of affairs that is oddly reminiscent of the subject in Tart's mutual hypnosis experiment, who discovered that they didn't have hands unless they thought them into existence. At first, the bodies Witten's subjects assumed resembled the persons they had been in their last life. But as their experience in the in-between life state continued, it gradually became a kind of hologram-like composite of all of their past lives. This composite identity even had a name separate from any of the names they have used in their physical incarnations, although none of the subjects was able to pronounce it using their physical vocal cords. What do near-death enders look like when they have not constructed a hologram-like body for themselves. Many say they were not aware of any form and that they were simply themselves or their mind. Others have more simply impressed to describe themselves as a cloud of colors, a mist, an energy pattern, or an energy field. Could that be what we're thinking of as orbs? When people see orbs, maybe that's what they're thinking themselves of. And if they get enough energy in these ghost hunter things, they actually have to form a body and actually make a shape. I mean, there's cases in these ghost hunting documentaries and stuff where they see orbs at first, but the orbs are able to drain the cameras of their power and then presume themselves as a form of a person and stand before them. Well, that's a possibility in the holographic universe by Michael Talbot. Now, I'm just giving that out as an example of what I've read and what I understand. These beings are out there. They're draining energy out of their cameras. I mean, the guys went in with fully charged batteries on their cameras. Within 30 minutes, the cameras are drained. Now, that's not natural on a fully charged battery. They usually last at least an hour and a half. And within 30 minutes, they lost an hour of battery power. And, this is an awesome book. If you ever get a chance to get a hold of a copy of it, it is called The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot. He died 20 years ago after writing this book. He's in the holographic universe and he's out there. But that's beside the point. It was a book that interested me because of my cult studies, reading Aleister Crowley's, Magic Without Tears, and all his other books that he wrote, and he kind of goes over that. But that's under the Cipher of the Euphonauts, which there is a Cipher of the Euphonauts. I don't know how many people know there is a Cipher of the Euphonauts, but there is a Cipher of the Euphonauts. I don't know if you know that. There's ciphers out there. Ciphers is numerology, if you want to call it. Aleister Crowley wrote a book that was a wonderful book, and I have to give him credit for it. In his earlier days, called 777. Now, if you ever get a chance to get a hold of that book, you'll be able to make the cipher. And the cipher is certain names equal certain other names. If the other names add up to the same number, they're related. And there was many names out there that can come up. Hello, how are you doing? Speak to me if you can speak to me. I don't know if you can speak to me or not. I don't know if I have to plug in the headphones. I don't know if I ever got the headphones fixed. Let me put the headphones in. I got you on speaker right now. Can you hear? I can hear you. Okay, you can hear me. But can you speak? Can you speak? I'm putting in earphones too. I think you can only walk over the speakers. Oh, you have no mic. Well, that's not going to help. Okay, I can hear you. I can see you. I hooked in my microphone, but it doesn't matter. It comes over my speakers, and I've been working on that, trying to get it to go back on my headphones. And yeah, Oh, okay. Have you heard of Michael Talbert's uh, holographic universe? And oh, okay. If you just want to enjoy the show, oh, okay. You've heard about it. You know, Michael Talbert's and his holographic universe and how things are, you know, and there is a cipher out there. They call it Cipher of the Euphonauts. And it's not really about UFOs. Maybe it's interdimensionals or it's something else. But these occultists over the centuries have talked about this. And they've actually uh, mentioned in their speech that there is a cipher out there. Now, cipher is number. Now, if you want to understand number, it's say that 13 plus 13 is 26 equals something else, and another word is 26. Therefore, you can break it down. They're saying the old cipher actually adds up to 11 when you get around to it. 11 is a magic number, and that makes sense because a lot of it, if you add them up together, 5 plus 6, 56, say 5 plus 6, that's 11. And it goes on and on and on. And it's a number is what it is. And it actually relates to other number of names. I mean, you always heard these extraterrestrials had these funny names back in the 50s and stuff. I mean, they had all these weird, funny names that you'd hear them call themselves by. But if you added them up and made number out of them, turned each letter into a number, then related it to another one of say like, grace of the universe or something of that nature, you'd find out that all this stuff adds up. And it adds up to the same number. 156 equals 156 on whatever, grace of the universe, under Yahoo or something. I mean, you'd come up with these strange space creatures' names that they called themselves. And they were funny sounding. You're going, really? You're listening to these space creatures and their name adds up to this funny name? And, this is back in the 50s, but yeah, it was a cipher they were going through. The name of this being actually equaled a name of something else. And it's a cipher. It really is. And you have to study cipher. Aleister Crowley did study cipher under his book 777. That was cipher. That was a cipher graph. I mean, you can go in there and find, I mean, he actually pointed it out in the book. I didn't catch on to what the cipher was until I actually read the cipher of the Euphonauts. And this guy actually pointed out, this name that was in these Euphonauts people, people in the UFOs, Adamski and others, had these beings they were in contact with. But if you look them up under numerology at a point where it'll say 156 equals this and 156 equals that in a statement, you're like going, wow, this name actually means this and this means that. And you can find other relationships to the name. That's the cipher of the Euphonauts. It's a cipher. Number is everything. I wonder what Crowley said, number is everything. It is. Number is everything. That's the cipher. Because when you can relate letters to numbers and they relate to other numbers to letters, and they are making a statement saying, I am king, or I am love, or something of that nature, you can find that through the Euphonauts. It's a cipher. they talk in cipher, and cipher can lead back to the people who are the elitists. You can find people like, say Queen Elizabeth, what her full name is, break that down in a number, find out other numbers that relate to it. Say, I am the Serpent Queen or something of that nature, and it equals to the same amount of number. And you can actually decipher all these things. It was the most amazing thing I ever came across was the cipher of the Euphonauts. It actually opened my mind up to everything I've been studying, Kabbalah and everything. In Kabbalah, that's what Kabbalah is all about, is doing the cipher. There's a magical cipher that's been going on for thousands of years, and you can find out names of them other than what their name is. Like the contactees. Say the contactees are out there and they're saying this being's name is, Yuka whatever, Yuka Kawaki or something. And you're sitting there going, well, that's a funny name. But if you do a numerological thing on it and you find out what the letters are turned into a number, then relate that number to another name that has the same quality to it, the same. It's not like you have to be a mathematical genius to understand this stuff. You can actually go through and find out what these beings actually are. They're not what they appear to be. They can be, sin incarnate or something. You can actually define them if you take number and use it to equalitate one name under a number to another name under a number. Didn't they say in the Bible, there's God knows every hair on your head by number? That's a number. And by knowing that number of how many hairs on your head, well, God knows you because he knows how many hairs are on your head. Well, this is the same type of thing with this cipher. The cipher is number. One number related to another number that has, it's a different word, but it adds up to the same number as what you're looking at. And you can understand all this stuff. This is the cipher of the Euphonauts. And Euphonauts doesn't mean that they're actually, aliens that we know of or understand. It means that they are beings that have a number to them. And God knows every number. That's in somewhere in the Old Testament. I think it's in Psalms or something. You have to go through it. But I realized that. And I realized the occultists did the same thing. They were trying to communicate to these beings out there who came to them and told them a name. And if they were smart, they would use a cipher, which is a number cipher, turn their name into a number, try to find another name for them that equaled that number, and be able to come up with what they were saying in actuality. It's the cipher of the Euphonauts. It's amazing. You wouldn't be more amazed unless you understood the cipher of the Euphonauts. It's these may not even be extraterrestrial. They may be ultra-dimensional. They could be anything, demons, angels, gods, whatever you want to call them. They're there. Under my Gnostic belief, I believe they're just different beings that come from different realms. And there's different realms out there. But they can all be broke down into cipher. And when you get the cipher down, the numerology of them, you take their name and turn it into a number, find some other name that relates to it, you have conquered the cipher. You actually are in communique with understanding what are these things? Where did they come from? What are their purpose? Will they be back? Can they be summoned back? Can they be expelled by their number? In other words, you have a demon in your house, you find out what the demon's name is, turn it in a cipher, find another name for it, and call it out on its name, and repute it. You can send this being away, and it will go away. It's an amazing, amazing feat if you know cipher. And cipher is like a cipher. I mean, it's like, breaking a code. You're breaking the code of the demon or angel or whatever, and you're able to know its name and what its purpose is. And it's called the cipher of the euphonauts, because they call them like, unidentified objects, knots. I mean, like creatures or whatever. Aleister Crowley amazingly had I am, and I am was he was I am, it was his name, and he looked exactly what he drew of what today's people call grays, and he was out there. There was Osawa. Now Osawa was a being that looked almost human, and basically looked human. And that was another thing that he was able to get the number from. And it was like messenger or something like that. That he found a word numerologically equal to his name. Is like, related to kingdom of God or something. And that was the Greys. I mean, I've seen the picture that Aleister Crowley drew. It's in books. If you get the books, it looked like a gray. It looked exactly like a gray before grays were even mentioned. And that was back in 1930s or something. He was in contact with these gray beings. The little grays that run around with the big eyes and long chin and almost a non-existent nose. Totally, it was non-existent. And he actually was in contact with them. So this is something you have to realize, that these beings existed before the big UFO phenomena of the 60s and 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. I mean, 1947, when the Air Force claimed that they brought in a ship and everything. It's amazing that the Greys existed back in the 1920s, 1930s. It was somewhere in there where Aleister Crowley was in contact with one of them, and he drew a picture of it, and he called him Lamb. Actually, it's Lamb, L-A-M-D, Lamb, and that was the name of this extraterrestrial. It equaled a certain number under the cipher, and it was equal to like leader or something of that nature is his name. And Aleister Crowley was in contact with it, and that was something that was amazing to come across. That the cipher is out there. There are ciphers, they change over periods of times. In 1970s, there was a guy that took the cipher of 27 letters of our alphabet, made a 27-point star, made it into a program, and was able to decipher all types of words connected to other words, and be able to take these funny names that these aliens call themselves. I mean, that's what they sounded like. They were like funny names. I mean, it's like, really? Yuckin Yakawu or something? And he was able to take that, put it through the computer, come up with all these related words under the same spelling of that word under cipher, which is giving a numerical value to each of the words, and was able to find other words with the same numerical value, say 126 equals 126 for this name, and was able to actually come up with names. And it was in 1970. I'm going to try to attempt to see if anyone's updated that program, because it was back in, maybe Windows 93, you were able to decipher with that program. But if you try to use it on your computer today, it won't work, because the computer, system is so different from 93. It makes 93 look like, basic or something, and you're playing with something that's something totally different. It may not be able to adapt into today's Windows 7 XP, Vista, or 8, Windows 8 or anything. This won't work. That's what got me, is when they start changing all these computer programs. Every time they updated it, a lot of the stuff you had in the old wasn't workable with it. It didn't carry over a lot of times. A lot of the stuff didn't carry over to the next program level. And I thought that was a loss, that they didn't just, they're building a house of cards anyways. Why don't you just build on top of that, and build on top of the next, and build on top of the next, and I can go back and use programs I used to have in 93, plug it in my computer, and it'll work. No, you got to go into the computer and find a driver that will allow that to happen. I had to do that a couple of times for a couple of programs I really liked. I had to go hunt down a driver somebody, wasn't Microsoft, came up with, and was able to make you link from that old program to the new, format of computers. This is something that we have been, it's called obsolescence. I mean, there's a lot of obsolescence going on. And Bill Gates was probably the leader of that. He always went to the next level. Well, 93 is no good. Let's go to 2000. Let's go to 90, or actually 98, then 2000. And let's go from 2000 to whatever the next level was. XP, I think. And go from XP to this. And they usually don't leave links back unless somebody out there has the source code, which is like a cipher, the source code, and be able to go back and able to tap in to what they had in the last version of Windows and carried it on. So you're able to use your older software and the newer software of Windows. That was, planned obsolescence. I mean, that's guaranteed. He actually started the planned obsolescence. Then they started doing it with cars and anything else that you have now. They have a planned obsolescence. I mean, it's good for the period of time it's created. When they come out with something new, well, that one doesn't work anymore. Or you have a product that has a warranty, say 60-day or a year or two. At the end of the year or two, it fails. Planned obsolescence. You have to go buy a new piece of whatever you lost, and you have to put it back in there. It's planned obsolescence. It's a way of making you keep spending money into their stuff. How do you think they're going to keep making money if they don't put a kill switch in everything? And that's what I'm looking at. I mean, I got a screen that's lasted me 10 years, and it's perfectly good. That was before they started playing planned obsolescence, where it burns out, you got to go get a new screen. Your screen burned out. Oh, well, you got to go get a new one because it burned out just after warranty. Oh, sorry about that. A lot of stuff you'll find will just stop working just after warranty. It will last just after warranty and it will just cut out. That's planned obsolescence. They have this all planned. So you have to go back and buy another one. It makes them rich. It's all about money. It's all about how they play this game. And they've been doing this for years. I mean, since, recent. The screen I got is prior 2000, and it's still working. So it was after 2000 they start putting in planned obsolescence on your monitors and everything else. And I'm expecting this computer that I got in 2008 to go out sometime. The hard drive did go out. The hard drive was planned obsolescence. It went out in 3 years. So you better have everything backed up on another drive you don't use, or you're going to lose all your information. In other words, you need a secondary drive. You need external drive. They have planned obsolescence too for 3 years or whatever, and they'll go out if they're. I don't even have these hooked up. I got them separate from the computer. I haven't got them running or anything. So I got at least 3 years on each of them if I hook them up. So, I can make some of these drives last 10, 20 years because I don't have them hooked up to the system, to the computer running and spinning all the time. The disk in there will wear out in your disk. They're absolutely wear out. I have one here. It's blinking now, but normally it will turn itself off. It's warm, so it's on. It's spinning. It's going to go out eventually. It's a on drive, second drive. The other one, and I got in there too. It's going to do the same thing. Because apparently they when you have your computer on, they're spinning constantly. So apparently the bearing's going to go out in those drives because they're just spinning disk. Now, if you get one the hard drive disk, I mean, one like a memory stick, they got memory stick type drives out there. Well, hopefully they're better. And if you got them offline and not running unless you want them to and plug them into UBS or USB, change it around, USB, they will last for 100 years or something. They're hard drive. They're like your memory stick. They're basically the same as a memory stick. Those are great too. They actually work great if you're not using them all the time and have them hooked up. Because apparently something in there will burn out a chip or something because it's constantly keeping contact with your computer in case you want to tap into it. Well, that's another thing. Those are great too. Actually, the giant memory sticks up to 1 terabyte are great too. I mean, they have a terabyte, non-movable parts. Put it that way. It's basically a memory chip. It's a memory stick. It's just like your memory stick you buy in the store for 16 gigabytes or whatever, and you can plug them in and put stuff on them, and it's on there. It doesn't have no moving parts. It's permanent as long as you keep them off of the drive, off the computer constantly, I guess. And the ones that rotate too, the disk, they're basically permanent also, and they can be permanent as well forever. But those memory sticks are even better. I mean, I always love. I have a dozen or so of these memory sticks. I have a 32, I have 16, and I have 8. I have a couple of 4 when they first came out with them, and they were about $10 a piece. And now they're all $10 a piece. You know, they're around 10, $12 a piece for up to 16. Now 32 is about $12 a piece. I'm waiting to see when they come down with the 64s. Now the 64s, if you read the fine print on the back of the 64s, gigabytes, they actually say they don't have nothing to do if it doesn't work. If it doesn't hold 64 gigabytes, oh well, that's your problem. It does. It actually says that. It's in the fine print in the back. You have to read it in the back. I actually read it in the back because I was going to buy a 64 and a 128. And I looked at them, and they don't guarantee it. They don't guarantee this stuff to work. And you got to keep an eye on that because they're not liable if it doesn't work. It just blew me away that you could come across something like that and they're not liable. I'm like, really? You're not liable for the guarantee that I can actually put 128 gigabytes on a stick? I mean, on a man. Hi, Paul. How you doing? Glad you could join in. Do you know about the chips, right?
No, I don't know what even you're talking about, buddy. I just walked in.
Oh, I've been talking about the memory sticks. You know, like the ones you can buy for $12 and stuff. That's up to 64 gigabytes. Non-hard drive, no moving parts. You just stick it in your computer.
Sure.
And, well, you ever read the fine print on the back of what they say of each of those chips, no matter what company it is? They say they're not responsible if it doesn't work. So if you buy it, you own it, and they can't get your money back for it. In other words, if it says it's 128 gigabytes and it doesn't work up to 128 gigabytes, they're not responsible. It says that in the fine print in the back. This when you pick
Yeah,
one
well,
up off the shelf.
it comes down to allocation and the way your machine is set up. So, for instance, the formatting space for a particular drive, like thumb drive or flash memory device, depending on what operating system you use, more memory will be allocated for permanent use by the OS. So that's what they're saying. For instance, let's just say you have a 16 gig card, and whatever your particular operating system is might allocate up to zero point 0.3 gig. Another operating system may allocate up to zero point 0.4 or zero point 0.5 gig.
Okay, I can see that. I can actually see that. But it's just the idea that they're not responsible if it doesn't work. I mean, it's the non-responsibility. It's obsolescence or something. If it doesn't work, well, we're not responsible for it. Well, in a way, they kind of should be to make sure it does work on every system. I mean, I go out and buy a hard drive and it does what it does, I should be able to take it back, right? I mean,
Well, no, because if you format it, you've damaged it now.
well, you're not formatting it. See, a lot of my external drives are just backup drives, so they have their own little format on them. All
Well,
I do
no,
is
they
plug
get
them
formatted. The minute you plug it into the machine, it gets formatted.
in. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen it actually do anything. It's formatting. I mean, maybe
It,
I've been
it
more.
has.
No. Well, maybe I've been paying attention. I don't know. I just turn them on and they just turn on. they flash, and then
Right,
that's
they
it.
flash. The very first thing that happens when you plug in an external or a RAM stick or a thumb drive or any of that. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but like the very first time you plug it in, it'll sit there for a minute and it says new USB device, and then it sits there and then it says, oh, device recognized, ready to use. That's the flash format.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. I mean, I've seen that, but I didn't notice it was absolutely it was doing something like that. Now, I just thought it was just linking into it, and that was the link in to the drive. I didn't know it was formatting it or anything.
Yep, flash format.
Flash format. Wow, that blows me away. It still gets me though on the flash drives, the sticks you stick in, and they don't guarantee it will work, up to its potential, is what they're saying on the back of the card. That's the chips held in, the flash drive, and it says it won't work. And I'm like going, what? And we don't have any responsibility for that. What? Right. And I pointed that out to the guy at Best Buy, and I went, you see what it says in that fine print in the back? It kind of blew me away, because I thought these things were kind of like guaranteed to be a backup forever. I mean, they are a backup forever because they have no moving parts, and they are.
But they can still fail. I mean, I've had memory sticks fail. I had a 32 gig in my phone take a shit a while back. It happens. I mean, it's very very seldom as opposed to a manual hard drive, if you will,
Oh
due
yeah.
to lack of no moving parts. But it still happens. I mean, nothing works forever, right?
Well, yeah, I heard if you put something on a flash drive, it'll last. If you're not using it constantly, and you just use it as a memory backup, and it'll last for 30, 40 years or more,
It could
compared to a
potentially help us. That's for sure.
you know compared to a drive unit that if you're using it, it only lasts like 3 years. I mean, I had one my main drive went out on my computer, and I had the factory reinstall it when I had to replace it. I lost all types of information I didn't put on my secondary drive. I should have already moved it. Now I'm moving stuff from my first drive to my secondary drive to keep it, in the system. And if it crashes, I reset all my files, and I just have to put the factory back in.
Yeah, sure. I back up everything, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to. Uh, that's, that's the way it is. Got to back it all up.
So how was your weekend, man?
Oh, it was pretty good. It was nice and cool. It's been in the 50s and 40s, 40 at start, and then in 50s. We had some rain. It started out about 49 degrees yesterday, and then it started to rain, and then it went down to about 59 degrees. And before the night was over, it was down to 40 something. Right now, we're looking at 42 degrees here in central Ohio. So
We went down
that's
to St. Louis this weekend for a wedding, and it was probably shit every bit of 10 degrees warmer there, just 3 hours south, you know. A little cloudy and rainy for yesterday, but today the sky opened up. It was a beautiful sunshiny day. There's probably half a dozen of us just laying out in the grass taking a nap today after drinking all night.
wow. Must be nice.
Yeah, it
Terrible.
was a long, long fucking weekend though. That sitting in a car for 6 hours bullshit just boy takes it right out of you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've just been sitting back here and enjoying my evening at 1:29 in the morning, and yeah, probably I'm still waiting to get reemployed again on a contract. I'm still looking for contracts. They pay better. They actually pay better when you're on a contract than you're on, a company hourly job and stuff. I've noticed that. I mean, contracts I can get 18 to $23 an hour. So, yeah, I can pick up a contract. I'm doing good. That's what I'm working on.
You know, the only downfall to the subcontracted work like that is usually there's some sort of time frame that's involved, like the job will only last so long.
Oh yeah, that's right. 6 weeks, to 6 months. But I save money up. So when I'm in between, I'm still floating there, and I'm doing okay. I mean, I can do that. I did this with the Boeing contract I had when they finally said we don't have no work for you and sent me to the street. Well, I've already had up 3,035 dollars plus silver and gold. I haven't even touched that, and I'm still just floating here. I mean, I'm like going, okay, I can handle that, and wait till the next contract job comes along. I mean, it's kind of like part time with a lot of vacation. You know how that is.
Right. It's almost like seasonal work, yeah.
It's like seasonal work. I save up my money as I can, so I have money, so I can sit here and sit back at 1:30, 1:20, 1:32 in the morning, and still, you know, still be comfortable and not worry. What me worry, as in Mad Magazine? What me worry? It's like, and that's basically what they want you to have in a way, I guess. I don't know. That's how the government's set up right now. They're set up that way. They want everyone to have half their hours and half of this, and because they have no jobs out there. The actual unemployment rate I heard from several sources is 40% unemployment.
I would
Well,
argue that just in real terms. I mean, I know a lot of people, physically know them. I interact with a lot of people, and um, I would have to say, per the average, if people are not working, it's because they don't want to. Like they're finding excuses not to, that kind of deal. I mean, it, don't get me wrong, over the past several years, there's been a really tough market, but it seems to really be opening up now.
I don't know. I have my brother is investing in foreign currency. He's taking his retirement money and everything and investing in his foreign currencies because the dollar is going to drop within a period of time. And he's buying pennies on the dollar. He's getting like, $1 million in Iraqi money and stuff. And
The dinar's never going to go anywhere, man. That's sad. Hope he doesn't do too much of his money into that.
he went into dong too. The dong, the South Korean money. He went into that too. And he says they keep telling me anytime now, these investors that he went to a bank and actually asked them, and they said, well, we can't really say anything about that. And he's saying he's going to be a millionaire when it all comes down. I
Well, I'm willing to bet you $1 he's going to be broken hearted over the whole.
That's what I told him. I told him the same thing. I told him the same thing. He's going to be broken dollar. And he doesn't believe it. He's got invested in that. But he did buy thousands of dollars in silver. And I said, well, that was a good investment, buying in silver. Because when the dollar crashes, silver is going to be king along with gold. And it's going to be out there because all these other countries are just pouring the American dollar into gold and silver. I mean, China, India, they're buying whatever they can find, and they're buying it up, and they're going to back the yuan and the whatever the Indian money's called. I think Dwappa or something. It's going to be worth a lot of money if it's backed by gold and silver.
I would argue that too. I mean, I have an interesting perspective as opposed to most people, but I think if you want to invest in something that will pay you dividends forever, invest in knowledge. Learn how to be self-sufficient. Learn how to grow your own food, learn how to make your own power, learn how to get your own water, learn how to, then you're never relying on any dollar or any currency or any metal. You're just relying on you. And that's kind of the take it out. Don't get me wrong, we have a little bit of metals as well, but I was kind of like I used to go to the bank and buy $100 worth of quarters and bring them home, and we'd sort through them with the kids. And if we found a silver one, we'd set it aside. We'd replace it with a new quarter, and then take them all back, get our $100 back. So we kind of collected it a coin at a time for a number of years. But it's coinage. It's something that someone knows what it is. Like, you can't go to your grocery store with a piece of bullion. You know what I mean? People don't take it. They don't even know what to fucking do with it. So um, my idea was, if you're going to collect silver, at least collect a denomination that everyone knows what its value is.
Oh yeah, that's true too. He bought this silver eagles. He has 5,000 silver eagles. I mean, it's like, you know. So I'm thinking, he's wise in investing that, but he invested a lot of his other money from his retirement into, you know, paper by other countries like the Iraqi dollar and stuff. And I'm like, Iraq? Really? He goes, yeah, they're telling me it's going to go up and it's going to be king of all money. When I guess they're in the what is it, the BRAC system of money that they're changing over to in other countries. There's like 80 countries out there right now who are starting their own currency.
It's been going on for a decade. I mean, I bought $20 worth of dinar, fuck, like
Yeah.
6 years ago, something like that. Just because I thought, fuck it, I have $20, I'll just throw it at it. I mean, I did the same thing with Bitcoin. I bought 3 Bitcoin, and I got real lucky on that one. But it like buying 5,000 fucking silver eagles to me is just like, it's ridiculous, man. I mean, if you really wanted to do something to save a tremendous amount of money, buy $5,000 worth of solar panels and put them on your house. Add up your utility bills for the rest of your life and see how much money you save on that deal.
Oh, true, true. I mean, I may have, a couple hundred in silver coins. I mean, even in rounds, and I have some silver eagles, but that's all I can afford right now, and I'm hanging on to that just in case. I can make them in pieces of 8. It is.
Right. Pirate it up, man.
It is pieces of 8. You cut these silver ounces up into pieces of 8, and you can actually use them to trade with. I mean, we may go back to that. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever see that time ever again, man.
Well, I'm sitting back on rounds. um, 65 rounds, and I'm looking at, you know, uh, 40 and another Silver Eagles, and that's something that, just to hang on to just in case.
Well, the cool thing about silver and gold is they've always held. Now, don't get me wrong. There's always ebb and flow. There's always little peaks and valleys, but as a whole, they've always retained their same amount. For instance, the price of gasoline versus 1/4 of an ounce of silver kind of deal. The price of a good quality suit goes versus 1 ounce of gold. Like it's always remained a constant. So I would call it a good long term, coinage investment. But it's not at all a way to try to increase your net worth.
True. They always are saying you should have at least 20% of your value in precious metals. And I say, yeah, precious metals, you should have 20%. And, hang on to that. That's a long-term investment.
Yeah,
And,
right. Like lifelong. Yeah.
and if you have money in the bank, take everything out except what you need to pay your bills and leave that in there. And keep the paper just under your pillow or anything because there's no interest anymore. I mean, they're talking about doing negative um, investment on your money. I mean, they're going if you have money in your savings account, they're going to start doing negative where you have to pay them to keep the money in your account. And that's starting to happen worldwide. So it doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
There's not a single bank in this country that charges you to store your money there. Every one of them pay dividends. No savings accounts, usually not much. I mean, the best yielding savings accounts are usually only about 2%. But still, I mean, if it's just sitting there, why not get something out of it? My recommendation would be to buy bonds with it if you're going to do anything, because that's secured, it's guaranteed. I mean, there's like a class double E bond is a 100% maturity in a decade. I mean, that's an amazing deal. There's not a lot of things you can just set money in an envelope for 10 years and have it double.
Yeah, that's true. I mean 2%. I mean, I used to remember when it was 5% interest on your savings account. Now, if you don't have enough in your savings account, you're under a certain amount, say under 500,
Exactly.
charging you.
Uh, yeah, man. My big thing is just buy something that's going to save you money in the long run. That's kind of how my investment strategy works. Buy it, pay for it, don't make payments on it, that kind of deal. I mean, if the average family put $5,000 into solar panels on their house and their average bill is $200 a month, the solar panels pay for themselves in the first 2 years. And if you get the next 28 years of life out of solar voltaics, uh, add up that math. You just made $50,000 on that deal. That was a 10-to-1 investment. You still with me? All right, welcome back again.
Welcome back.
There's two of you now. I'm sure the other one will go away in a minute.
Yeah, that's my cat. Meow. Yeah, I lost connectivity for some reason. I guess we're talking something that I don't want us to know.
Right. Buy solar panels, make 10 to 1 in profit. That's how that works.
Yeah, I want to get into that too. I want to get into solar panels, stuff like that. Being an electrician, I should start my own company, I guess.
Man, fuck starting your own company. Just take care of you, bro. You know what I mean? The best thing I think that we can do for humanity is be role models for one another. And if you do something that successfully works in your domain and other people see it, they'll follow suit.
Oh, that's true. That's true. You're right. I'm just so upset that I don't have a job right now. I mean, it's like, well, it's it hurts. Like I said, I don't know if you knew what happened with my Bowen job, but I got too efficient, and well, what they do is they get so much money, $46 million or something for the project, and they want to spend all that money. Well, I got so efficient that I was a hindrance to their able to eat that money up because they don't want to give any of it back to the AF. And they don't want to give anything back to the AF Air Force.
Everything is a business model, Jason.
Yeah. And I became too efficient and I didn't have any work to do. And they said, ah, we don't need you anymore. And oh, by and by, you made a couple of mistakes putting these things together, just a couple of times. And, well, and the guy that would put them back the right way, if I didn't do it, well, it was like he didn't have any work to do anyways. So I look at the big B as a welfare job. That's what it was. And I didn't quite comprehend the welfare job, but it was so boring that I wanted to make it more efficient. See, that's the problem. That's the problem. You can't be too efficient. Yeah,
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, almost all government jobs are just that. It's state-funded employment, right?
that's basically it. I mean, it's like, and that's where I went through. I mean, I'm looking at, okay, so I overdid my job and worked myself out of a job, and you sent me to the street. Okay. They wished me good luck when they took away my secret clearance badge and everything else and sent me to the street, escort me to the door, and sent me out. It's like,
They do it
really?
all politely, though, right?
Oh well, you know, it was a trip. It was really a trip when I got booted out of that because I was comfortable there. I was actually comfortable when they suddenly said, basically, I did my job too good. And they don't want too good. They just want people that can drag it out so they can spend all that money because they don't want to give any of it back to the Air Force. And that's what happened. They get this money and they want to be able to spend it all. And I don't know. It was a trip. That was one of the weirdest things that ever happened working a job. Instead of being more efficient, they want you to be less efficient so you can make more money. Ah, what a trip.
Yeah. Well, buddy, I
Well,
just gotta pop in and say hi. It's almost 1 o'clock, and I have to work tomorrow, so I think I'm fixing to put it between the sheets.
okay, okay. I'll
Have a
let
good
you
one.
go.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you later.
All righty. Take your call. Do. Okay. Anybody else out there? Anybody else want to come up forward? You can all talk. Plenty of room to talk. Up to 10 people. Okay. Nobody wants to talk right now. I mean, it's like, okay. Let me take a break and get some water. Okay. So, what's happening with everyone else out there? Is everything cool with you? Okay. I have nobody talking with me. Got 2 listeners and nobody's talking. Everyone can talk. It's an open line. All you have to do is talk. Okay. Got my cat here and everything else. What else do we want to talk about? We talked about finances and everything. Talked about government projects. Well, anybody out there have anything to say? Come on. And if you're viewing, you must have a link or drop on in. Okay. Don't want to drop on in? That's okay too. I can go on with something else. What else do you want to hear? You want to see Ghostlight? Let me, I need to open up my chat. There it is. Oh, I get it. Huh. I have a time with my chat opening up. There's my chat. Okay, I open my chat up. Now it's time you can chat or you can get on the air and talk. I have no problem with that. Try to get the people on my air channel to come on. Seven new. Well, that's not helping. Resume. Okay. Jeff Lafferty Jones, anyone? I'm trying to get some people from my other side on here. And I seem to have a hard time getting anyone on here. Seem to never have enough people. And I don't know why. We should all be on here. Everybody should be on here talking. How come nobody's on here talking? I've been looking forward to having a conversation with at least more than one person. I mean, hell, you should be able to get on here. It shouldn't be that difficult to just drop on in and have a conversation about anything you want to talk about. Just looking for somebody to talk to. I'm down to two viewers. Come on in. I know you can get in. Hell, I don't have no blocks or anything. Just say I want us to talk. Let's talk. Just come on in. Somebody's got to be able to come on in. Let me see if I can find TJ. I mean, really, invite people. I don't know. I've already invited all these people in. 25 followers. Invite anyone that wants to talk. If I send this to you, then you should be able to come right on in. I don't know why I'm not getting more people, even though it's this late at night. I know a lot of my people in California and Westwood, it's not that late. And we should all be able to have a conversation about whatever subject you want to talk about. Open subjects, open time. Come on. You know? It's amazing how hard it is to get people to come in. Google Plus. Google Plus makes it so hard to get people to come in. Okay. Well, there's all types of stuff going on. Everything. Well, wouldn't mind getting TJ in here. If TJ wanted to talk, come on in. I don't know if he's probably on another talk line. One of those things. Anyone else wants to talk, it's open lines. I try on YouTube, but it's like they just don't have a shout out anymore. And that always upset me that they never have it. They took the shout out. And a lot of people use that. I used to use that too. And well, we don't have a shout out. And I don't even have TJ Washington out there. Where you at? Should be talking to me. Somebody has to talk to me. I just can't find a way of putting everything on this. And well, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Somebody come on, ask a question, whatever. I mean, we can talk about the holographic universe again. I mean, it's out there. Laws of physics and the habits of realities, both potential and real. And we have the energy field of the human psyche. It's all in the holographic universe. The energy field as cosmic blueprint about mind and the human energy field. Space and time. It's, I don't know, this book gives me a lot of information that's going on out there. And I'm amazed a lot of people hadn't come across this book, The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot. He's been dead for several years, but the book lives on. He's not really dead. He just went to other world. I mean, that's basically what I look at it as. He just went to other world. And he's not here anymore. But, you know, that's how things are. I've already did everything I was going to do. Well, I guess I'm going into Sunday night if nobody comes on here in the next, I mean, you can get a link at my site of Google Plus at Jason Moy, or you can go to my Spellbinder 00 site, and I have a link there on my main page, and says say something, and I did. I guess that's the new way of saying shout out. And nobody comes on here in the next 5 minutes. Well, I don't know. I guess I'm going to call it a night because nobody's on here. Nobody wants to talk. Everybody wants to listen, but nobody wants to talk. I haven't figured that out yet. It's an open line, open conversations, open everything. And well, it's 2:04 right now, Eastern time. And losing my interest on here. I really have nothing more to say. I mean, I can go and start talking on the Jeffrey Griffin site. I can actually go there. I mean, I have no problem with that. I can go there. And we can go staffing and recruiting. Jeffrey Griffin. Okay, Jeffrey Griffin. This is what's happening in Jeffrey Griffin. Now, if you haven't been keeping up with Jeffrey Griffin, then you haven't been keeping up with anything on the reality zone. Okay, Dr. Oz fires back against 10 doctors who called for his dismissal from his facility post at Columbia University, accusing him of promoting quack treatments on his TV show. Oz says the doctors went after him because of his vocal support for requiring labels on GMO foods. He says 4 of the doctors who criticized him have been accepting money from the GMO industry, and 1 doctor was jailed for medical fraud. This squabble has made the public keenly aware of genetically modified organism controversy. ABC News, 2015, April 24th. Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell submitted a bill to extend the provisions in a so-called Patriot Act that allows the federal government to spy on Americans through 2020. McConnell is pushing for unrestricted spying by the feds and opposes a competing bill that would limit the power of the NSA, FBI, and other agencies to collect data in bulk. Tech dirt. April 23rd. Okay. President Obama admitted that U.S. drone strikes conducted on the Afghan-Pakistan border last January accidentally killed 2 hostages being held by the Al-Qaeda, or should it be the toilet, was Warren Westings, an American aid worker, and another was Gianvini Lo Proto, an Italian national. 2 more Americans were killed, but they were accused by the Obama administration of being terrorists. In Swan, April 23rd. Yeah, that's right. This kill Americans and everything. It's not genocide. It's some type of war between the dollar and oil. Okay. Video, U.S. Geological Survey is warning of increasing man-made earthquakes in 8 southern and midwestern states. They say the quakes are caused by oil and gas fracking operations. PBS NewsHour, April 23rd. It's true. They're going down there and they're flushing all this stuff down there and they're weakening. It's like a lubricant and it's weakening these fault lines and they're creating earthquakes. Beside the point. It's money to be made. Okay, in Japan, a quadra drone carrying a minuscule amount of nuclear material landed on the roof of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's office. It's believed to be a silent protest against his support for reopening nuclear power facilities across the country and the government on government's mishandling of the Fukushima meltdown. IB Times, April 22nd. China. Scientists have succeeded in genetically engineering human embryos. They claim that only non-viable embryos were used in the experiment, but it's possible the claim was made only to soften criticism. It appears that the age of designer humans is drawing near. The Telegraph, April 23rd. Video. Ethiopia, more than 100,000 people marched to protest the killing by ISIS of 30 Ethiopian Christians in Libya who were trying to migrate to Europe. Police dispersed the crowd with tear gas. PBS NewsHour, April 22nd. U.S. The federal government is worried about the veterans with guns and is using the Department of Veterans Affairs to disarm them. Veterans who seek medical care at the VA say their medical records are being sent to the FBI and the BATF, which asked to conduct a criminal background check. Anything in their records that indicate mental stress can be interpreted as mental disorder, which then can be used as a basis for raiding their homes and confiscating their firearms. Daily Caller, April 21st. Now they want to take the guns away from our veterans because they're trained to use them. Oh yeah, against a sadistic government. Anyway, scientists have linked a swarm of small earthquakes near Fort Worth, Texas, to nearby natural gas well fracking operations. AP, April 21st. Chicago. A driver affiliated with Uber, a service that directly connects drivers with individuals who need a ride, prevented a mass shooting by shooting a man who had begun to fire into the crowd. The driver had a permit to carry a concealed weapon. Chicago formerly had strict gun control laws. You can't have guns. That would have prevented the driver from acting without serving jail time. Business Insider, April 21st. Video. Protests are breaking out in Baltimore over the death of Freddie Gray, a 25-year-old black man who suffered a severed spinal cord while in police custody and later died. Police claim that they don't know how Gray sustained his injuries. 6 police officers have been suspended from their duties without or with pay while the case is being investigated. CBS News, April 21st, and I have a name on that. He went into the van with no injuries and was handcuffed and everything. But they put him in the van and they go down these roads and do sharp turns and bounce him around in the back like a basketball. And they wonder why he died. Yeah, he has no way of protecting himself. Okay. Palestinian farmers in Gaza Strip have accused Israel of poisoning their crops with unknown chemicals sprayed from crop dusting planes. An official from Gaza Agricultural Ministry is urging the Red Cross and Food and Agricultural Organizations, FAO, to preserve or pressure Israel authorities for information about the chemical use. World Bulletin, April 21st. Yeah, they're just poisoning them now. Which we don't have to bomb them anymore. We just fly over and drop poison on their crops, making them inedible and make them starve to death. You want to talk about Nazi Germany? Israel is playing Nazi Germany right now on the Palestinians. And that should be enough said. California, San Bernardino County approved a $650,000 settlement to Francis Prosock, who was beaten by sheriff deputies last week. The case settled without any investigation or indictments because a damning video of the beating went viral on the internet. 10 deputies have been placed on paid leave. Paid leave. LA Times, April 21st. They should have been put in jail is what they should have been. Okay. Former Egyptian President Mohammed Morsi, a member of the Muslim Brotherhood and the first democratically elected leader of Egypt, was ousted by military coup in 2013 and now has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for killing protesters. Morsi still faces more charges such as espionage. CBS News, April 21st. Greek mayors are protesting national government intent to seize their cash deposits in local banks. Prime Minister Alex Tsipras has ordered the transfer of $2.15 billion in local cash to be sent to the central bank to cover the government's short-term debt and also to pay salaries and pensions at the end of the month. Bloomberg, April 20th. Interesting. UK, brain damaged victims of swine flu vaccines, brain dead victims of swine flu vaccines, I have to repeat that, will receive $90 million compensation paid, not by the drug company, but by the government, which means taxpayers. No, you can't touch the drug companies. They're above God and the universe, don't you know? The vaccine was made by GlaxoSmithKline, which refused to supply vaccines unless the government agreed to cover the anticipated risk of medical harm. IV Times, April 20th. You believe that? They're above the law. drug companies, a corporation that should be fully have to pay that, not the taxpayer. I have no idea why the government is picking up the Pete on that, and except they got a nice sum of money to be elected, and they said, "Oh, we'll just take it out of taxpayer money. Don't worry about that, Klein, GlaxoSmithKline. We'll take care of that. We'll take care of your what harm it did. Don't worry about it. You don't have to pay a penny out of your pocket because you gave me $1 million in my pocket. So, Oh, these drug companies are such sorcerers. And in the Bible, it says all sorcerers should suffer to die. And we're not doing it. We're not doing biblical works. They're sorcerers. They make drugs that hurt you. No, sorcery in the Old Testament, actually meant in Deuteronomy, was sorcerers, not witches. Witches was something they defined it as so they could do the Inquisition. The actual word is sorcerers who make drugs. These people make drugs that harm people. They're sorcerers. They should be taken out and burned at the stake. That's the biblical law. Oh well, so much for the biblical law. Anywho, video. The U.S. sent 2 more warships, an aircraft carrier, and a guided missile cruiser to join several other warships near the coast of Yemen. The U.S. supports Yemen's current regime. Saudi Arabia also backs Yemen's government and is bombing the Houthi rebels that are backed by Iran. Reuters, April 20th. There's more corruption going on. Okay. Organic food sales have risen by 34% in 4 years, from $29.2 billion in 2011 to $39.1 billion in 2014. The trend has caught many U.S. farmers off guard and has led to the need to import organic foods from other countries to meet the rising demand. Natural Society, April 20th. See, we can't even raise organic food here without having GMO introduced into it. So therefore, they have to import food just to take up the slack. Wow. Video. The FBI acknowledged that its elite team of forensic investigators routinely gave flawed testimony, overstating evidence against criminal defendants during the 1980s and 1990s. In more than a dozen cases, defendants were later executed or died in prison. The suspects' tests include analysis of hair samples, fiber, and bite marks. Their subjective tests were performed by law enforcement instead of scientists. The FBI is notifying prosecutors and defendants across 46 states that the evidence used to convict many cases may be tainted. Well, I'm admitting that. PBS, April 19th. You know, the U.S. student loan debate now totals $1.3 trillion, and nearly 1/3 of the payments are delinquent. Student debt comprises 45% of the federal government and financial holdings. Although it has the potential to earn interest, the reality is that much of the debt will never be paid back, and the cost will fall to taxpayers, who will be required to pick up the losses. Zero Hedge, April 19th. See, they're not even responsible for themselves if they can't collect the debts. We got to pay the debts. Give me a freaking break. Portland, Oregon is the latest city to join at least 7 others that have banned neonicotinoid pesticides. These pesticides have been linked to severe decline in bee population. Natural Society, April 18th. A related story. U.S. Low Homes and Garden Stores plan to stop selling the neonicotinoid pesticide by 2019 in response to campaign by activists who are concerned about the decline in bee and butterfly populations. Some of the bee-friendly plants that were sold there were heavily saturated with neonicotinoid chemicals. Natural Society posted April 18th. Well, yeah, they've been using this as a pesticide. Yeah, it works great, but it takes out the bees and everything else. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Here's the analysis for this week. Video. Hillary Clinton is facing an avalanche of additional scandals, disclosing a new book, Clinton Cash. It tells an amazing story of how the Clintons gave huge political favors in return for millions of dollars in donations to their causes. One of these favors resulted in Russia now owning half of the uranium mining production in America. This report summarizes a solid story. Fox News, April 23rd. The designation as a sci-fi or systematically important financial institution, SIFI, for being too big to fail led to higher capital requirements and extra oversight. Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway and conglomerate should be listed as a SIFI because it owns more than $50 billion in assets and has over 3.5 billion invested in derivatives. However, because Buffett is well connected in Washington, his organization is exempt from the rules. Zero Hedge, April 20th. Don't you know? And that's it for the news for the week. Hope you enjoyed it. I currently did. This is madness beyond belief. And I just don't understand how they get away with that. A&T wants me to be hired. Okay, they can do that. Baltimore riots, looting protesters. Freddie Gray, protest erupts in chaos. A police car, raw footage video published April 25th, 2015. Raw video, Baltimore riots, looting, tear gas, Freddie Gray, protesters, Freddie Gray destroys stores, protest erupts in chaos. A police car scene of chaos in Baltimore as thousands protest Freddie Gray's death. Cars get smashed, everything happens. Nothing's gonna go out of that, don't you know? The government's above the law. Don't you know? A lot of people don't realize the government's above the law. Earn up to 22 pay days off per year. Wow, not bad. I'm checking out. I'm already getting something. I don't know what I'm getting. Oh well, that was the news. I guess that's it. It's 2:24 in the morning, and this was the news. Until next time, I hope you all be good or be good at it, and have a nice night. It's bedtime for me. Good night.